everybody, my name is Dr. Sarah Wooten and I am here with All About Cats to bring another video to you about all things feline. And today in this video we are going to be talking about the 5 worst things. The worst things that you can do at the veterinary hospital. These things don't help anybody. They don't help you, they don't help your pet, and they certainly don't help the veterinary professionals. So these are the top 5 worst things. Let's get into it now. Number 1, be full of fear or anxiety. Yeah, so this is a big one, guys. One of the things I've noticed about pet parents is when they come to the veterinary hospital, they are very anxious often. They're very fearful often. And that's to be understood, right? That's understandable. We're going to be doing things to your pet, things that you may not like. Maybe your pet is in pain, maybe your pet is sick, maybe you don't have enough financial liquid capital to pay for the services that your pet needs. Maybe you're just afraid of needles or blood or whatever, right? So we walk in to the veterinary hospital with all of this emotional and mental baggage, and it also manifests in physical ways as well. It manifests in the way that we treat the people who work there. It manifests in the way that we interact with our animal. I've had some clients that have been so stressed out, they have literally had vomiting and diarrhea while at the veterinary hospital. And I feel so bad for these people because if I could only tell them how important it is for them to calm themselves before they come in, it would make things go a lot better. And let me tell you why. The number one thing is obviously for your own mental and emotional wellness, right? You want to make sure that you have a way to self-soothe, to self-regulate, to calm yourself down, and so that you aren't experiencing, anxiety or racing thoughts or vomiting and diarrhea or queasiness, or you're not having short answers with, maybe people that you came with or people that you're working with, right? Because all of that fear and anxiety is going to color everything that you're going to experience and do while you're there. Secondly, your animal picks up on it. So we've talked about this for a long time, that animals can sense their owner's emotions, that dogs and cats are very in tune. And what I've noticed is that the people that bring their pets in to see me, they are actually literally sharing emotions with their animals. So they'll come in, they'll be fearful and anxious. Boom, now the pet is fearful and anxious. Or maybe the pet did something that's out of character because it's a little fearful, and then that triggers the owner to actually be more fearful, and then they feed off of each other, and by the end of the whole experience, it's just terrible, right? It's terrible. So the worst thing you can do when you walk into a veterinary hospital is lose control of your emotions or let fear and anxiety take over. So there's 100,000 other reasons to have a good self-soothing routine and to not let fear and anxiety run your life. But if there is one thing that could help these things go better, it's when clients come in, they are controlling their breathing, they're controlling their own fear response. And then what I have to notice is that the pets really play off of that. They feel that their owner's confident, so they can be confident. And then the veterinary professional feels confident and they feel more relaxed, and then everybody has a better time and the pet gets the care that they need and you don't suffer, right? There's been so many times when I have been about to draw some blood or give an injection or talk about something, and I notice that the owner's there holding their breath, and I'll look at them and I'll say, breathe. So make sure that you are aware of when you are in fear or anxiety or anger or any negative emotions when you're coming in. Make sure you have your own strategies to calm yourself, not only for yourself, but for your pet. And then manage your emotions as you come in and do your best. And of course, we're all human and we all fail at that. Me a lot. I fail at that a lot. But it's a really helpful way to help these appointments go a lot more easily. All right, the number 2 worst thing that you can do while you're at a veterinary hospital is to feel shame or embarrassed about your pet's behavior while they're at the hospital, or if you have any financial limitations. So often people, well-meaning, lovely people, will bring their pets in, and then their pet will get scared about something, and then the pet will act in a way that is not normal, right? Normally very obedient dogs can suddenly lose their ability to sit or obey. Sometimes they actually have accidents in the hospital. And I'll tell you what, I feel so much for pet owners because they get so embarrassed by this stuff. So here's the deal. We as veterinary professionals, we get it, right? When we see an animal that is not behaving, most of us have the training on board to know that that's not a bad animal, right? There are no bad animals, right? That's a fearful animal, right? That is an animal that's in fight or flight, and even if it's low grade and it's trying to protect itself, if it bites or growls or tries to get away or tries to jump off the table or doesn't sit or doesn't want to eat treats, those are all signs of fear, right? And that's no reason for you to be embarrassed. That's just knowledge, right? That's just knowledge that you have about the state of your pet's emotions. This is another reason why it is so important for pet parents to be calm when they're in the veterinary hospital. Think about it. If you're taking your kid to go see the pediatrician and you were really uptight and tense and, well, that's going to translate to your kid, right? And you wouldn't do that, right? You would want to be there for your kid. You would want to, and we're talking human kids here, not for kids. You'd want to be calm. You'd want to be confident. Your pet needs the same thing, right? So when your pet loses it on any level, don't be embarrassed, okay? We all get it. We've all seen it. We all expect it, right? Who wants to be poked with needles? Nobody, right? Including your pet. So don't be embarrassed. The other thing to not be embarrassed about is if you have any kind of financial limitations walking into the veterinary hospital and getting this stuff done, right? So, as much as I want to say there's no judgment that comes from our side, we're human too, right? We are as susceptible to judgment as the next person. Having said that, we also understand that veterinary medicine is largely a cash business still, and it requires often large amounts of disposable income in order to get treatment done or surgery done or save an animal's life or fix a bone or fill in the blank thing, right? Fill in the blank service. And we understand that people don't have large amounts of liquid capital lying around. And in fact, some medical professionals, they know that and they actually expect it ahead of time. My example for this is braces, right? For humans. Well, my kids needed braces, right? I don't have $4,000 just laying around, right? So you go in, you get this memo that your kid needs braces. They don't expect you to pay for that all up front. They actually have a system where they take you into the room, they ask for a deposit, they set up this system, right? So it's not just veterinary professionals that experience this, it's other medical professionals as well. So don't be embarrassed. It's really important for you to just come in, be yourself, be as calm as you can, understand that your pet may not behave quite as well, and then if you have financial limitations, don't be embarrassed about it, okay? No shame. Just talk to us. Okay, so the number 3 on the heels of what we just talked about not being embarrassed, if your pet is not behaving or if you don't have all this money for the veterinary services, the number 3 thing to do is to understand that veterinary services are pricey, right? They're a lot less expensive than human medicine, but they're still pricey. And so as to your best ability, don't arrive unprepared for the bill and then ask the vet to solve your financial problem for you, right? That is such a huge stressor for veterinarians, right? We have these big hearts. We want to give, but we can't, right? Because we're business owners as well. And so it's really hard when we see a pet and the owner is not prepared at all for how much the services are going to cost. So do your best, educate yourself. call the veterinary hospital ahead of time if you're going in. Some people are even unprepared for how much their annual visits cost. And I've seen these annual visits where you go in for your exam, any of your routine labs, any worming or vaccines, or, you know, on and on and on. And people will walk out with bills that are like $300 to $500 and they didn't know, right? So call your veterinary hospital ahead of time and trying to get an estimate, and know that the receptionist is not going to have, you know, all the answers, right? Because they're not the doctor, but they might be able to give you a ballpark. Hey, it's going to be between 500 and 1,000. Hey, there's going to be a comma in this estimate because it's so big. Hey, that's going to run you about $40, right? So don't arrive unprepared, and do your research ahead of time as much as possible so that you can facilitate easy, equitable, efficient veterinary visits with your pet. So the number 4 thing to never do when you're at a veterinary hospital as much as possible is guilt shame your vet for their prices or ask them to give you free stuff or discounts. And don't judge them for their prices, right? And then don't go to social media and vent your problems all over the place. This is a huge stressor for veterinarians, right? We have all of this amazing services, we have all this amazing equipment, we have all this cool stuff that we can do. That all costs money for us to stock our hospitals, to hire people, to stock the medicines, to buy the equipment. This equipment's so expensive. For example, like a class 4 therapy laser, you know, the cold therapy lasers that are used for treatment of arthritis and wound healing, all of that stuff, super cool, $30,000. So it's really hard for us to be able to charge appropriately for our services, even in the first place, because I mean, there's so many emotions in that's very complicated on so many different levels, right? And then it gets even harder if we're trying to, you know, do our job and use our equipment and keep our staff hired and keep the lights on and, you know, keep everything going. If our clients are not aware, and then our clients are frustrated because they can't afford what we're providing, and then they take their frustration and then they project it either onto the veterinary professional or all over the social medias. It's really important for you to be able to understand that we want to provide all of the services that we can, but we are limited by just being able to have a business, right? So it's really important for you to know that. Now, if you do have financial limitations, do openly discuss those before you have okayed an estimate, before the veterinarian has actually gone in and done services for you. You need to make sure that they know where you're at. And that is, again, just really important information for us to know. What's not cool is if you okay an estimate, say the veterinarian comes to you and says the estimate for this is going to be $750, and you okay it, but then you don't have the money to pay for it. That's like telling the mechanic, hey, you can fix the alternator on my car, but you don't actually have the money to do that, right? And a car is not an animal, I get that, but they're both cash businesses, and that adds so much stress and makes it even harder for us to be able to do our jobs. So make sure that you do discuss any financial limitations you have. Understand that veterinarians are pricing their services accordingly to be able to run their businesses and be able to make a profit, right? And you can also ask the hospital if they do have options for payment plans. It's best to have those discussions even before you get to the hospital, if possible. But lots of times these hospitals will have payment options, such as they'll use gravity payments or care credit or scratch pay or Wells Fargo, which are all medical lines of credit. It's also helpful to have something like pet insurance on board before you go, because that can greatly offset the cost, or a credit card that is just for medical emergencies. Things like that can really, really, really help you in the moment. But if you are in that position, please, please, please do not project it onto your veterinary professional. They are doing the best they can. They want to help you. You have to show up for your part as well. Okay. Oh, one other thing to say about that is if you do need to have some sort of financial assistance with veterinary services, remember that we are used to having those conversations with our clients. Because we understand, right? Sometimes the estimates are very large and sometimes it can take a little bit to get your resources together. Remember, there's no shame in this. You're just having a conversation with the veterinary professional and you're getting information so that you can make the decisions that you want to make. All right, the number 5 thing to never, ever, ever do at a veterinary hospital is yell at the receptionist. So these lovely people, they are often single mothers. They are often young, friendly, often female people that are hired because of their outgoing natures and their high organizational abilities in a pretty fast-paced environment, right? So they're hired for their personalities, they're hired for their organization. What they're usually not hired for is any kind of veterinary or medical expertise. Unless the receptionist is, maybe they're a veterinary technician part of the time, then they will not have a lot of the information. And a lot of them are actually learning on the job. They'll come in, they'll have this awesome personality, they'll have these great organizational skills, but not a lot of medical expertise. And a lot of times when they're disappearing from the front desk and going into the back, they're asking questions because they don't know what's going on. And they're learning really, really fast. And so it's very, very, very important for you to know that they may not have all the answers you need for your medical questions, and they may need to get back to you or get somebody from the back of the hospital to talk to you. So when you are thinking about how to treat this wonderful person at the front desk who may or may not have all the answers that you're looking for, remember to treat them with kindness. So there you have the 5 things that you don't really want to ever do at the veterinary hospital. You want to not be scared or anxious. You want to try and manage those big negative emotions, right? Not only for your own mental wellness, but for the peace and calmness of your pet. Number 2, do not be embarrassed if your pet is not behaving the way they normally do, because remember, they're probably afraid. And don't be embarrassed if you have financial limitations. We've all been there. We all get it. Number 3, don't arrive to the veterinary hospital unprepared for the bill. Do your research ahead of time. Call the hospital ahead of time. Try and figure out how much you're going to need, the resources that you're going to need to be able to get your pet the services that they need. Number 4, do not guilt, shame, or otherwise bag on your veterinarian because of their prices. And please, please do not go online and cyberbully them with terrible posts to social media or Yelp or Google. Sometimes it's warranted. We can make mistakes. We can do bad things, but oftentimes we're just trying to do our best. So please, please, please don't cyberbully us, please. And then number 5, please don't yell at the receptionists. They're just there. They're friendly, happy, outgoing, executive level type assistants. They don't have, a lot of times they don't have the medical terminology. They're just trying to do their job. They're trying to do their best to serve you. So please don't yell at them and please treat them with kindness. So there you have it, the 5 things that will help make your veterinary visit go better. It will help build stronger relationships with your veterinary care team, and it will lower the stress levels for everybody involved, including your pet. So if this has been helpful, let me know. I would love for you to leave a comment in the comment section. And if you want other topics covered, go ahead and leave me questions about that. If you have experiences that you want to share, I'd love to hear about those as well. And I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon in another video.